Every year, new series are released that capture our attention, with last year bringing us series like Beastars, Kimetsu no Yaiba, and The Promised Neverland, all grasping a wide audience. Already this season, there are a handful of gems that have been released, making our anticipation for next season even greater. But today, we're going to take a look at some of the biggest disappointments in recent history. So, if you guys like my content, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get started. First on our list, we have Gangsta. The title alone immediately invokes one's imagination to that of a Grand Theft Auto or Saints Row game, and rightfully so, as many themes are presented in moderation. Through its memorable and colorful opening, invigorating cast, and over-the-top fight scenes, the anime would attract a large following, with many believing that Gangsta would take throne for Anime of the Season back in summer of 2015. However, those initial beliefs would soon be put to rest, as the anime would encounter several issues throughout its adaptation. The most notable encounter revolving around the studio in charge of its adaptation, Studio Manglobe. During the production of Gangsta's anime, Studio Manglobe would declare bankruptcy due to their poor financial health, and as a result, Gangsta would see a significant drop in animation quality, as well as its presentation of the story itself. Despite Studio Manglobe's impoverishment, Gangsta would still see all 12 of its scheduled episodes released. However, the drastic destabilization of Gangsta's quality would become transparent. The anime would experience an incredible pacing issue, with either no information being omitted or too much being involved, creating an undesirable story. While one might assume the best intentions from the financially dismantled studio, the excessive amount of information and unwelcome cast would be the final nail in the coffin for many. With a stockpile of faults, Gangsta's ending would unpredictably leave many unimpressed, as nothing seemed to be really resolved. And with so many noticeable flaws, the few redeeming qualities Gangsta did possess were left overshadowed. The once highly anticipated anime would dwindle down to nothing but ashes. The series would end up dispersing into a void, leaving many with an undesirable taste and disappointment. Next on our list, we have Tokyo Ghoul Re, and I'll be honest, I had a really difficult time on whether I should include Re or Rude, but I ended up in favor of Re for this video. Probably the most well-beloved series on this list, Tokyo Ghoul has always had a loyal and supportive fanbase, including myself. However, even those who love the series can express their disappointment with the direction of the anime. While the manga would produce a carefully constructed and addicting story, the anime would fail to deliver the same. Now, the clear issue that's holding this series back is its lack of explanation. Providing a poorly executed plot, Tokyo Ghoul Re would immediately jump into action with absolutely no build-up. The absence of detail would continue to be an ongoing issue, leaving fans asking what was happening throughout the series' progression. And without proper introductions, the story would often focus on cast members that the audience had yet to grow attached to, causing a disinterest. And by the third episode, many would notice the decrease in animation quality, thus taking away from one of the few redeeming assets the anime did possess early on. Another noticeable missing presence was the incorporation of an impacting OST, something that made the original season so well loved, and with that, fans had little reason to continue watching the show entirely. Now, one could accredit several of these issues to the series' new director, as his experience didn't match for a series of this magnitude. However, that's a bit of a stretch, but given the fans' expectations and the series' magnitude, a more experienced candidate would have been more ideal. And with a fanbase that is so faithful to Tokyo Ghoul, the series is currently sitting with a rather mediocre score on MAL. I really hope that eventually the animation studio can right their wrongs and give the fans the adaptation Tokyo Ghoul really deserves. Third on our list, we have Glass Lip. Seeming to be that tranquil slice-of-life anime with a unique story attached to it, many held high expectations for Glass Lip prior to its debut. And with Studio PA Works in charge of the anime, many felt confident that Glass Lip would deliver. On the surface, Glass Lip would encompass an artistic and dramatic story that should have created a memorable experience for its audience. Keywords, should have. As by the end of episode 2, the writing was on the wall that the story was going nowhere, and fast. And instead of focusing on the uniqueness of its story, the anime would shift attention towards the forced relationships of its cast. And as a slice-of-life romance series, the anime is dependent on its characters' development. However, the issue is, there was none. Besides our main two protagonists receiving mild development touches, the rest of the cast would remain unchanged. Adding insult to injury, Studio PA would drop the ball developing the abilities of the protagonist. With one of Glass Lip's main attractions revolving around its protagonist's ability to see into the future, many were eager to see how the powers would unfold. However, by episode 5, it became transparent that the powers were useless, as our cast used them for nothing significant other than making things worse. If only we had the ability to see into the future, then we could have prevented ourselves from watching this anime. Yes, the anime does have some redeeming qualities. Its beautiful animation and soundtrack do provide an artistic upside. However, without any story progress or character development, those traits are deemed useless. And by the end, the series' attempt at a deep moral meaning ended up confusing its small audience that stuck until the end. With that being said, Glass Lip would end up being one of the most disastrous and disappointing series of the 2010s. Moving forward, we have Nisekoi, which in my eyes is my biggest disappointment on this list, as Nisekoi's first season had successfully differed itself from the likes of other harem through its cast individuality and enjoyable content. Nisekoi's first season would incorporate an appealing cast who simultaneously gelled well together. As each character would individually stand out, fans were able to choose which girl was their favorite, having fun quarrels with others as to who would be the best match for our lead character. And while many could argue that its story brought nothing new to the genre, it was still full of entertainment and laughs, making it an attractive series to watch for many, including myself. And with that being said, Nisekoi's engaged audience was ecstatic upon the announcement of its second season. The hopes for further development and episodes full of laughter were high, and I'd be lying if I didn't say I was excited myself for the second season. However, within the first episode of the second season, many would notice a change in pace that would deter people's excitement for the following episodes to come. Gone was the magic that the first season so joyfully brought on. With the story's progression halting entirely, each episode was filled with lackluster, cheesy comedy, and while episodes were devoted to a single character, absolutely no development would occur in any regards to the story or the characters. And with that said, Nisekoi's switch in identities would inevitably discourage any future projects with the animation. And it's truly a shame, as many felt Nisekoi was an enjoyable series. Season 1's success would help normalize the harem genre to a degree, as it was successful in encouraging its audience to forget that they were watching a harem-based series. And after detouring from its original formula, Season 2 was the reminder to its audience that they were watching a harem that completely discouraged everybody from watching further. Needless to say, Season 2's change in progression would cause too much damage, leaving its once loyal fanbase disappointed and the hopes for a third season ruined. Last on our list, we have Erased, and let me tell you, I had a tough time writing about Erased for this video, so bear with me. Premiering in winter of 2016, Erased would gain a massive audience due to its appealing opening, great animation, and strong potential to become anime of the season. And despite strong competition from other series such as Assassination Classroom, Ajin, and Durarara, many still believed that by the end of the season, Erased would be hailed as king. However, despite gaining a supportive following early on, its fanbase would slowly slip through the cracks as the anime had one large overlying issue: its writing as a whole. For years, the concept of time travel has been touched upon by several series, some successful, some unsuccessful. And yes, those series often revolve around one's attempt at bringing someone back to life or trying to solve a mystery. I have no issue with that type of story being told, so long as it's consistent, which Erased is not. And I would say the faults of Erased are a result of an author who refused to write anything with complexity, instead opting for an opportunity to change the story at any given point without much effort. The issue with this writing approach is that the events feel completely unplanned and much information would be omitted. So, despite our protagonist having a clear objective to prevent the death of his mother, he, instead of doing said objective, chooses to protect his childhood classmate Hinazuki. Why? Because they are kind of related? Sure, but they are not influenced by one another in the slightest, making for an inconsistent story. And with the addition of its inconsistent plot, the shaky narrative, bland characters, and predictable outcome would create a divide within the community between those who fell in love with Erased because of its strong debut and those who grew to despise Erased because of its many faults. And so, despite its beautiful animation and fun soundtrack, the anime is just plain bad. And it's a shame, as the first few episodes did do a good job at setting up for a story with high potential. However, its poor writing that created a mess of a story would be the reason that Erase makes this list. And that's it for my list of anime that disappointed everybody. Tell me what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Comment down below and let me know what anime disappointed you recently. As always, thanks for watching. If you have any other ideas you'd like me to cover in the future, let me know. And until next time.